Hi, welcome to another episode of Home Studio Workshop. This is the second of two promised tutorials about setting up Midi controllers. This time it's the Nektar Impact LX61 Plus, which is superb and wonderful and I love it. But there are some confusing things about setting it up, using it generally, mainly to do with the fact that there are several manuals. They have one general manual and also manuals for each of the doors that you may or may not use. Sometimes things get a little buried and it gets a little confusing. I don't know why that should be, but it is. Otherwise, this is a wonderful piece of kit and I thoroughly recommend it. But there's a little couple of things which might help you to see it written down. If you want a copy of the sheets, the little cheat sheets that I made, then please get in touch and I'll send you one. Otherwise, let's have a look. As I said on the intro, there are confusions with the Nektar setting up, mainly because there are several different manuals. There's one kind of basic manual and there's a manual for each of the different DAWs that you might come across or have. So it gets a little confusing when you're trying to find out something specific, because sometimes it's buried away in a manual where you didn't expect it to be. So the worst confusions are to do with the shift controls. What happens when you hold down the shift button? The shift button is there. Hope you can see that. It's not a particularly brilliant image, I'm afraid. I had lighting problems this morning, mainly involving smashing a light bulb. But that's another story. Anyway, the shift button is there. What happens when you hold down the shift button? Okay. Shift and hold chooses the drum pads. The drum pads being here. Shift and hold, and you can pick one of these out. Shift pad learn. The shift pad, the pad learn button is there. Second row, clearly marked. They're all clearly marked. It's all beautifully done. It's only a little bit of confusion. So hold down shift and pad learn, and that will take you into the learning the pad behavior, which is well explained, and that's easy to do. It's very simple. Then we get a couple of ones involving this panel again, which is shift and instrument will open the virtual instrument that you have picked in your DAW or DAW, whatever. Equally, shift mixer will open the mixer of your DAW if it isn't already opened, and close it if it is, I presume. So that's fairly simple. Then there's three shift setup. Setup is the end button there, so shift setup. Shift setup and F1, which is there. They're all clearly marked. Again, it's all beautifully done. Don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic piece of kit. Shift and F1 will engage the drawbar function, the drawbars then being these. What the drawbar function basically does, nothing complicated, it just reverses the throw of the fader. In other words, it starts from, instead of going up to maximum, it goes down to maximum. Does that make sense? Instead of naught being at the bottom, naught is at the top. That's all it does. It engages instantly and automatically, and very simple to use. But that's how you do it. Shift setup F1, done. Shift setup F#1, there, and then C6, which is right at the far end, last key. I haven't even got it on the photo, but it's right at the far end. that is a save mechanism. So whatever you've done, if you hit Shift Setup F#1 and then the C6, it will save whatever you did into the preset that you're on. I hope that makes sense. The final one's a little bit more complicated, and it's about picking velocity curves. Shift Setup C#2 or D2 will open the choice of velocity curves for either the keys or the pads. C#3 or C3, these two, will pick whichever one of the various choices of velocity curves that you need, and then again C6 to save. So that's that little segment, and then there's one more, which is the Shift plus the transport controls, and these are very useful. Shift Cycle sends you to the left locator. Shift Rewind will set the left locator. Shift Fast Forward will set the right locator. Shift Stop, and this one I just found this one, I think this is awesome. Shift Stop will duplicate the behavior of Control Z or undo, and Shift Play will open or shut the click, so you can turn on the click or off the click straight from the keyboard and not have to go back to the DAW, which is great. Okay, there's one other thing which is a little hidden on the menus, and that's the behavior of button number 9. Button number 9 is there, obviously under the 9th fader, and if you hold button 9 down, then fader 9 will control the DAW master volume. The fader 9 is usually controls the volume of whatever track you have selected, but if you hold button 9 down, then it will switch to the master volume. Really, I don't think you need to mess with master volume through the keyboard, but you may, but I can't see why you would. But anyway, there it is. And more importantly, and this took me a long time to find, this is what set me off on this whole path for this little episode, is these buttons here, 1 through 8 or 9, 1 through 9 I suppose, 1 through 8 will mute the channel that you have selected, always presuming you're on the mixer, of course. So in other words, if you operate fader number 1 here, that will turn the volume up and down for channel number, say, 1, and button number 1 will mute that particular track. Now, if you want to solo the track instead of mute, then hold down button 9 and then click on button number 1 and it will switch to solo. Simple as that. Otherwise, this is a fantastic piece of kit. I'll put links up to the manuals and stuff in the description below, and if you can get one of these, get one, because they're fantastic. Okay, that wasn't too hard, was it? If you liked it, like it. If you want to comment or ask me a question or anything like that, get in touch for the usual wherever, and see you later.